on, you'll just keep everything virtual, I'm assuming. All right. Well, we'll go ahead. Respect you guys' time tonight. We'll go ahead and get ourselves started. Um, Once again, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us again on a Wednesday night for our speaker series. We're absolutely enjoying getting to know you guys and you getting to learn from some of our great speakers. Once again, somebody that you guys have become very familiar with, Dr. Valdez, will be sharing with us tonight on the topic of LinkedIn and digital resumes. She's well versed on these topics. And for those that are definitely looking at it from an academic standpoint, in general, she has great information, but she can be very specific for those that are interested in the academic track. For those that may want to take a different path and be on the business side or corporate side, I'll be here to intervene if there's any things that you guys need there. But this is Dr. Valdez show tonight, and I'll just support where needed. So look forward to growing with you guys tonight, and I'm gonna turn it over. Dr. Valdez, let's take it away.
Thank you. I am so glad to be here with you all on this Wednesday night. I feel like we are all old friends, starting from the summer series, going through the conference, and now in the fall series. And so I'm so glad to be with you here tonight. And we are going to jump on into this talk about digital profiles, thinking about LinkedIn as well as digital resumes. And so I want to start out with a poll just to see, I've got two questions for you. So the first one is, what are some of the social media platforms that you use? And please select all that apply for this poll. So which social media platforms do you use?
What a shift! What a shift in these stats over the last 5 to 10 years.
That's right. Yes, we were.
Oh my gosh, 11 years ago, I don't even know Twitter exists. Look at the items that are leading the way, like Twitter and Snapchat. Twitter, those things didn't even exist.
Yeah, so
TikTok.
it looks like we have the Snapchat is highest with 74% of you all using it, followed closely by Facebook and Instagram. Our LinkedIn is a little lower, as well as Twitter, 58%, TikTok 42, and then one person with no social media. So then we have a second poll for you. Which is, which of these social media platforms would you want graduate schools or potential employers to view? So thinking about your own profile on these different social media sites, which one would you be comfortable with grad schools or potential employers viewing? And you can select more than one if you'd like. See how this shifts.
It's the complete opposite.
Right. So, yeah, we've had quite a shift here. So, Snapchat no longer so high, only 6%. Where LinkedIn is clearly leading the way, 89%. You all think LinkedIn is the way to go for employers and potential grad schools. Some Facebook, some Instagram. So, we're going to talk more about all of these. Well, not all of these platforms, but a select of these platforms as we continue on in the talk today. But I wanted to kind of probe you and also just to remind you that graduate schools and employers do look at your social media profiles. So you want to be thinking about what you have displayed on them and if you would want them to see that, right? So these are public profiles. There, of course, are privacy settings, but you do have to be careful as the privacy settings change all the time. So what you thought was private may no longer be private as these privacy settings change on these social media sites pretty regularly. So be thinking about what that profile looks like and whether it's the way you want to be perceived by a potential graduate school or a potential employer. And so today's agenda, we're going to be talking about why social media. We'll talk a little bit about preparing your digital profile to go on the market, whether that's thinking about jobs or thinking about graduate school. We'll talk a little more in detail about LinkedIn, and then we'll finish with talking about digital resumes. And so we'll start with why social media. And so social media has exploded, right? In today's world, 81% of Americans have social media accounts. And so having a social media presence is important. It is a way for you to market yourself, it is a way for you to be able to advertise yourself and to make yourself more desirable for applying for jobs in graduate school. It is important to note that what you post matters. So there have been countless stories of folks who have gotten fired from their jobs because of things that they have posted on their personal social media profiles. So just keep that in mind that what you post matters. So highly politically charged things, you know, anything in those types of realms can be things that you can be scrutinized for, and people will be making decisions about you and your future based on those posts. And so the content that you are putting up again is public, and so once you post it, that media is out there, whether that's a photo, whether that's text, just keep that in mind. The other thing, just kind of on the flip side, or in some ways complementary to that, is that through social media, you can build your own brand and bring to attention your work. So you can highlight things that are important to you, things that you want people to know about, that you've been working on, whether that's in the lab or something that you've been working on. It's just really interesting, or community service projects, whatever it might be. You can really build that and build kind of this digital profile of you through your social media accounts and create your own brand. And so you can build yourself as a professional using these social media platforms. And so we will talk a little more about the different platforms. We'll talk about four of them today. So the platforms that we'll discuss are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just kind of high level. Again, you all are probably the experts on social media. As you have grown up with it and you've had it in your life for many years. And so we'll just talk high level about this and kind of how that these can kind of fit into you as a professional. And so we'll start with Facebook. So Facebook has the largest number of members. So there are over 2 billion members on Facebook. And so this is a very influential space. Although Facebook is going to have everything from, the top scientists and folks that you would, be super, super excited to meet with, to, your family members and friends, right? It's a mix. It's not a professional network, right? Facebook is more of a personal network, but it can go between the two. And so again, the use is primarily personal. There are many different post options available on Facebook. You can text, you can put text, you can do photos, you can do videos, you can also do live streaming on Facebook. So that the platform itself allows you to do a number of different post types. The potential here is that you can connect with scientific leaders and you can shape how you are perceived. And you can do that through the types of posts that you are going to put on Facebook, right? So the types of things that you're wanting to talk about, or maybe photos from your lab work, or short videos explaining a method or a technique, right? So you can do a lot. There's a lot of potential there with Facebook with what you can do. Instagram, the primary use is imagery of some portion of your life. And I think the some portion of is an important piece of that. So you can choose to do, people have like food versions of Instagram, or outdoorsy versions of Instagram, right? Your Instagram may be scientific you on your Instagram. And so the post options for Instagram, as most of you already know, are going to be photos or videos with limited captions. The potential for here again is that you can shape how you are perceived, and you can also create a photo narrative, which can be pretty amazing to look at. Of course, don't forget that many of the profiles on Instagram are very carefully curated and done by professionals. So don't put yourself to that standard. Just keep that in mind. Twitter is a more casual type setting where that you can share ideas. And so for the posts, they're much shorter, although they've doubled in length. They're now 280 character text. You can also do photos. With Twitter, there are the retweet options, which can get you engaged in conversations, and also, of course, the direct messages that occur in Twitter. There's also direct messages in the other social media platforms, but I think Twitter allows a more conversational and natural flow to go within the direct messaging. And potential on Twitter is that you can connect with scientific leaders in real time. So you can actually have conversations with them as if you were in the same space as them, even though you may not be. You, again, can continue to shape how you are perceived. You can see the common theme here, right? And then you can also be part of the current scientific conversation. And there's a really large kind of scientific Twitter space out there if you are interested in getting involved. And so you can learn about a lot of the newest and most late breaking science happening through Twitter. Even though that might sound kind of silly. And I know that only 58% of you said that you have Twitter, but maybe more of you will think about joining it and kind of interacting more on the scientific side of things after this presentation. And then, of course, there's LinkedIn, which everyone seems to think is the place to go to for your looking, that you would want your potential employers or potential graduate schools to be looking at you. So LinkedIn is a professional networking website. There are, you can post text, you can post photos, you can post articles. There's a lot of different things that you can post through LinkedIn. As a bonus, LinkedIn really serves as a digital resume for you. So that's kind of what the format lays out. And we'll talk more about this later on today as we move through these slides. But I just want to highlight some of those potentials. Again, you can connect with peers. You can also connect with folks you know and scientists that you want to know through LinkedIn. You can, again, shape how you're perceived. So any one of these social media platforms will allow you to shape how you are perceived by others. And LinkedIn can actually lead to jobs. So I've had colleagues and friends who have actually been approached through LinkedIn for actual jobs. And so it's actually a website that works. But the key is that you don't wait until the last minute to start updating your LinkedIn when you need a job or you're wanting to get into graduate school. You really have to be building it over time and continuing to update it and maintain it for it to kind of create that interest level for folks to find you and potentially offer you jobs or an interview or ask you to apply to something. And so now we'll talk about preparing that digital profile to go on the market, whether we're talking about a job or whether we're talking about applying for a graduate school. And so one of the central questions you really have to ask is, what are you using your social media for? What is that purpose? And so we're going to look at a couple different topics. from the perspective of, are you using social media as a personal social media, or are you using it for professional purposes? And we'll look at a comparison between each. So, for any of these social media platforms, you want to create a far reaching network. If you're talking about the personal side of things, this is just family members, friends, friends of friends, maybe celebrities, right? Far reaching network. But if you're talking about on the professional side of things, then this might be your peers, your lab mates, leaders in your scientific field, or maybe even Nobel laureates, right? Those are our celebrities in the science field, right? So you want to create a far reaching network with your social media platforms. You also want to stay up to date. That's one of the benefits of being on social media, is that you can really keep up with current things. And so on the personal side of things, this might look like the ideas that your friends have, what are the happenings, events and things like that, newest trends in pop culture. But on the professional, what you get from that is that you get ideas that are happening in your field currently, publications that are coming out that are new and exciting, as well as maybe new trends within your field. And so social media can allow you that. In a professional setting, if you have the right network, right? So you have to plug into the right people to be getting these types of feeds within your social media platforms. And then, of course, you also can use social media to announce your accomplishments. And so, if you are thinking about this in the personal perspective, then that might be things like birthdays or trips and vacations, or OOTD, outfit of the day, right? So, things like that you might be announcing on Facebook. In the professional setting, what you would want to do is announce your accomplishments, like any scientific findings that you had, any exciting lab moments or discoveries that you made, awards or honors that you've been given and received, or any publications, right? And so you can see how that these kind of stack up as you think about your social media platform for your personal side of things and your professional side of things. And you have to really think and start curating what you want that to look like, especially if you're wanting employers and graduate schools to be looking at you. And if you're not comfortable with what you see on any of your social media sites, with a graduate school or potential employer seeing, you might want to start thinking about editing. What is that content that you really need to get rid of, that you wouldn't be comfortable with it being shared widely? And again, you can work on those privacy settings, but remember that they do change regularly. And so, what you pick today might be different a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now. And so, you have to stay on top of those privacy settings if you are hoping to utilize those for preventing, folks from seeing stuff that you maybe aren't wanting to be so widely public. And so now we'll talk about LinkedIn for professionals. And so um, just talk a little bit more about LinkedIn. I know I gave kind of an overview of LinkedIn earlier and some of the potential that it has for you. But I want to talk a little bit more about what LinkedIn actually offers. And so I mentioned earlier that LinkedIn really offers a digital resume for you, right? It's built into the platform. And so the basics of LinkedIn is that you will upload a professional looking photo. So you want to make sure it doesn't have to be professionally taken, right? You don't have to go out and have a photographer take pictures of you. But you do want to pick a professional looking photo, something that's a headshot. So something from your shoulders up. You want to make sure that you don't have any other people in it that you're cropping out, right? You want it to be you isolated, looking good. I can't tell you the number of times that I see profiles on LinkedIn that don't have any photo with them, and you're so much less likely to look at and be interested in that person than somebody who put a photo up. So just put a photo up. You also want to make sure that you include that contact information so that folks can get in touch with you, whether that is through your email, through you can also include other social media networks. So you can link your LinkedIn to your Twitter, your Facebook, personal websites, etc. So LinkedIn can kind of link all of those websites together through that contact info. Um, you also are able to upload your current and past positions. So this might be things like the research positions that you've held, right? So you want to keep it relevant to, again, the same as if you were creating a resume. You want to keep it relevant to the things that you are interested in for pursuing, right? So if you want to get a job in STEM, then you would list STEM related items, right? So you don't put that maybe you had a part time job landscaping or a part time job being a waiter or whatever it might be that you were doing that were kind of outside. So let's think about the things that are related to the type of work that you want to get or the type of graduate school that you want to go to, right? So you want to list those research experiences as lsamp scholars. You all have lots of research experiences. And so you want to be listing those. So you can, they don't have to have been paid. They don't have to have been, a formal summer research program, right? You can just list that you were an undergraduate researcher in so and so's lab, right? Whoever Professor so and so is. And you can provide a description. You want to tell about the research that you did, maybe provide some information on the types of techniques you used and that type of stuff, or an overview of what that project is, right? So you have the space on LinkedIn to be able to do that. You can also put, you definitely want to put the research that you're working on now, but you can also put previous research experiences or other related experiences. If you were a teaching assistant or a teaching fellow for a course, that would be something that's relevant. Any of those types of experiences. And of course, you want to list your education. I think most of you all are currently undergraduate students. We might have a couple grad students with us. So of course you want to be listing what school you're at, what your major is, and your focus. It does have an option for you on LinkedIn to also include the courses that you've taken. So you can choose whether or not, if there are courses that are important that you feel like people need to know about, then you could also list those. And so these are kind of what I think of as the basics of LinkedIn, like the must haves that your profile really needs to have. And then you can kind of expand upon that. So you can continue to build. And so there's a section on skills and endorsements. And so these are kind of short, 1, 2 word buzzwords around things that, are important skills that you have. So for me, that might be diversity, or it might be higher education, right? Things like that, that I really care about, as well as STEM diversity, right? So those are some of those skills and endorsements. And then your LinkedIn network can go in and basically they endorse you. It's almost like if you were on Facebook, a like, right? So they kind of plus one that and say, yep, this person has those skills. Um, there's also recommendations, and you can have folks include a recommendation for you on LinkedIn, share about your work on a project, or about your leadership skills, or whatever you really want to highlight. You can ask people to do recommendations, and then those are visible for other graduate schools and companies to see. You can also include accomplishments. So any honors, distinctions, publications, things like that, you can include on LinkedIn. And so there's a lot of space there to really build out a full digital resume for people to peruse that you can update in real time as things continue to be added to your resume. And so one additional note that I wanted to make sure to say here is that recommendations, that these actually hold a lot of weight. So a lot of companies have talked about the fact that they put as much weight on these LinkedIn recommendations as they do actual references that they call for job interviews. So these matter. And so you want to be really careful about who you're selecting and asking to provide those recommendations, because again, those are going to be public, those are going to be on your profile, and you want to make sure that they're going to be representing you the way that you want. But these can be really powerful. And so it's something that you will want to be able to include if you can. And then lastly, on just the kind of LinkedIn profile part, one thing to keep in mind is that you want to keep posting to make sure that you get noticed. So if you have things to share, post. So you might be able to post something like, attending, the LSMRCE conference, excited to present, right? So if you're presenting your research somewhere, or if you, I don't know, just different accomplishments and things that you have, or interesting article that you read. Maybe there's a really, something new in your field that you were just excited to talk about and you want to kind of start a conversation on it. So as you post, people will notice you, and that continues to bring traffic into your profile, which can then lead to people, potentially asking you to apply for a job, or, get an interview for a job. So just a couple things to keep in mind. And so now I want to show you a tangible tip on creating that LinkedIn handle. And so I'm going to walk you through um, the process for doing this. So this is a screenshot of my profile. Apologize, it's a little bit stretched out here on this screen, but this is what my profile looks like. When you click this little pencil here, or no, actually, you click this contact information, then it takes you to another screen. And this is multi-step, so stay with me. So I just want to walk you through these steps, because this will get you a personalized LinkedIn handle versus the kind of random one that gets created whenever you create a LinkedIn profile. So it takes you to this type of screen, which is a pop-up screen. And from here, you are going to click this pencil. The circle didn't get on the pencil, but you click this circle, you click this pencil to edit your contact information. And so from there, we have this profile URL where it has a LinkedIn, and you can click this and it will open a new page. So we get another page. Like I said, it's multi-stepped. I'm sorry that it takes so many steps, but that's why I wanted to walk you through it. And so finally, you get this screen where that it says edit your custom URL. And so you can personalize the URL for your profile. And so for me, mine's linkedin.com/in/Dr. Cami Valdez. I think when I first had a LinkedIn profile, it was probably like Cami Valdez 56321 or something. And so you can click this pencil here, and you get you're able to edit that and customize that personalize that URL to whatever you would like it to say. And so this is a great way for you to kind of make that direct link, and just to kind of clean up and professionalize what your LinkedIn handle is. Now we'll talk a little bit about digital resumes. And so before we jump into the digital resumes, I just want to talk a little bit about the CV and resume, just some general tips, because I think it's always important to go over those. So your CV and resume needs to be professional. It should not have any typos. So make sure there are no typos. Read over it, do the word, do the grammar check, the spell check, have other people read it. It should not have shorthand, abbreviations, or slang. You're going to write out everything that you're talking about in that CV or resume. You want to have consistent formatting. So however you choose to set up your resume, you just need to be consistent. So that indentation needs to be the same. So however far you're going to move the margins in, it should be the same every single time. The types of bullets that you use, if it's a circle, if it's a dash, if it's a plus, if it's a box, whatever it is, it needs to be the same. And also, as you think about the levels, so there's the first level, and then the second, as you continue to indent into your bullets, you want to make sure that those are always the same in every single category that you have within your CV or resume. You also want your dates to be consistent. So you have to make a choice. Is that going to say September 2020? Is it going to say fall 2020? Is it going to say a specific date, September 22nd, 2020? What is the type of format that you want to use? And once you choose that, you have to be consistent. I will say that the more specific you can be, probably the better. In my own experience, I many moons ago decided to do the semester semester approach, and now I no longer have dates for things that happen. So everything for me is fall, spring, or summer. Fortunately, I'm in academia, and so that still works for me. But if I ever were to move into industry, that would not no longer really make a lot of sense, and then I would have to kind of make a best judgment and have to decide, is that September, is that October, whatever the case may be. So just a word of caution there. Um, for your locations for types of categories such as dates, locations, roles, etc. So you want the spot within the resume or CV to be the same. If you are going to list the dates on the right hand side at the top of every instance, then that needs to always be top right hand side at the top of every single instance, right? And if the location goes under that, you just have to be consistent. So I'll show an example in just a little bit that we can look at that and we can be scrutinized in just a little bit. And as we were talking a little bit before on the LinkedIn, we only want to include relevant information. And so some of these might be as you think about, graduate school or professional jobs that you want to pursue after your STEM degree, then of course, you're going to have your education. You want to include research experiences and jobs that are related to that. Research publications, if you have any, and or presentations. So if you've presented at a conference, you want to make sure to include that. If you've been a teacher's assistant, you've done help room or supplemental instruction experiences in STEM, those would also be great things to include. And any research skills also you might want to include. And at the undergraduate level, your CV or resume really should be about 1 to 3 pages at this stage of your career. Beyond that is probably too much. You're probably including too much detail at the undergraduate level. So just a rule of thumb, about 1 to 3 pages for the undergrad CV or resume. And I'll also note, I often get questions about what's the difference between the CV and the resume. And so um, at the resume is really supposed to be a 1 to 2 page document that is, giving the highlights, the highest highlights of kind of the things that you've done, and the CV is basically a laundry list of everything you've ever done that's relevant to what we're talking about. So in this case, we want to talk about the scientific you. So everything that you've done is scientific you, right? And so the CVs can get really long. People who are in, industry for long careers and faculty members who are tenured have, CVs that can be 50, 60 pages long. Insane, right? But at the undergraduate level, really you're going to be in kind of the 3 page range. And so there's not a ton to think about right now at this stage of your career, but as you continue, if you go to graduate school and as you continue as a professional, you'll have to think about whether or not a CV makes sense versus a resume. And part of that depends also if you stay in academia. So within academia, the CV, which is the curriculum vitae, is what's expected of you is to keep this list of everything that you've ever done. And so it is a growing and long document after successful career, which you all will have.
Dr. Valdez,
Yes,
we have a question from one of our students.
sure.
It says, "How trustworthy is LinkedIn? A doctor from California reached out to me, and I think I responded awkwardly."
Um, interesting. We may have to talk online about the specifics of it, but I think that you may want to I mean, I wouldn't give out personal information, right, to people who've reached out to you on LinkedIn who you don't know. But if somebody reached out to you and said, they were interested and, maybe having you apply for something, you could always say, thanks so much for thinking of me. Can you send me to the website where, that job is posted so I can find more information on it, right? So you can kind of take it off of the LinkedIn platform to try to find out more reputable information. Um, you know, You can also look at, look at the person's profile and, use your best judgment. You have been on social media for a long time. You hopefully can be able to spot when people are not being fully truthful. So you want to, look at those, look at what their profile looks at, maybe look at their friends, their connections, and see, does it make sense? Are they really representing who they are? You can also do a Google search, right? Look up this person, try to find them at that company. It doesn't take that long to kind of do a quick Google search for those kinds of things. So I wouldn't off the bat give a ton of, give away any personal information or things like that. But you could certainly start a conversation and again, try to ask for more information that would lead you to something that feels more secure. Hopefully that answered that question. Are there others, Brian, before I move on?
Sorry, Dr. Valdez, I'm sitting there talking on mute. It says, I saw another student reply back that yes, there have been a lot of scams,
Yes.
especially for IT jobs. I think just a bit of feedback that I would provide is just intentions, right? You're really looking to see what this person's intentions are. If they are someone that are truly, if there are people that are truly recruiting, um, what we call headhunters,
Mhm.
there should be websites, there should be recommendations, there should be um, the companies in which they have provided people's employment for, etc. So that it should be rather easy to
Right.
see if a person is credible in the headhunter um, space. So definitely just do your homework, but don't blindly trust anything.
Right. Don't blindly trust. Exactly. I think that's great advice. Thanks.
All right. Was that Killian? Were you wanted to ask the question?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right. Back to you, Dr. Valdez.
Okay. No worries. All right, so so we just talked about the resumes, and I will show an example. And so let's take a look at this and be paying attention and thinking about this. I'm definitely going to want your feedback as at the end. So there's going to be 3 slides of this resume, and so this is my undergrad resume from many years ago. So I took out the years so that maybe we don't have to think about what my age is. Um,
Awesome.
so I wanted to just give you this because I think it's helpful to see real examples. And so here, I started my undergrad resume, front and center with the education. I did chemistry and math. Started with the awards. That was important to me. I think when I was an undergrad, I think probably now I might not keep it as high up, but that's anyway, we can talk about that. Then we have publications, research experience. So for research experience, I give a project title, what the program was, if there was a program related to it, the place that the research was at, and that in this case that I was an undergraduate researcher. And then the next category, I have research presentations, and so here the title is the research project, the place or conference that the research was presented at, and then if there was an institution or a city affiliated with it, and then the type of presentation and date. And so again, looking at the formatting, that the consistency, things like that. Here I have related volunteer experiences, and so this included being a TA, and then helping in the math help room and the chemistry help room. And so again, giving some dates. And as I mentioned before, year, I made the mistake of doing fall and spring. And so I no longer have any dates for those. So those just have to be the dates that they are. I also put in extracurricular activities, and here is a judgment call. Like, what do you include? What do you not include? I did cheerleading. It was a big part of my life. I did it in junior high, high school, college, and even for a year in graduate school. So it was a big part of my life. Does it necessarily need to be on my resume? Maybe not, right? Judgment call. We can talk about that. And then here, these continue the extracurriculars, and then I included community service. That was important to me. I volunteered with Special Olympics, Horn of Plenty, and then also at the Stafford Space Museum in the town where my college was, and then I had references. And so here I'd like to pause and get your comments and thoughts on this structure. What's missing? What would you change? Any feedback that you all have on this resume, and you won't hurt my feelings because I'm long past my undergrad resume. So feel free. We can do the raise your hand or unmute yourself. What do you think, Brian?
Yep, just use your raise your hand feature. So I'm here looking. Anyone that raises their hand that wants to provide feedback. All right, Matita.
Oh, I don't think I saw a section where you talked about your skills. I don't think I saw that.
No, I did not. I did not know about that section when I was an undergrad.
Oh.
So yes, skills would be a great one to add here. Thank you. So
Awesome.
skills might be things like, things that I learned in lab. I might have included that I knew how to do cell tissue culture, and that I knew how to do drug screens, and I knew, those types of technique-based things might be some of the things that I would add there. Thank you. What else?
All right, like use the raise your hand feature.
I'll click back. Maybe we can.
Nigel has a comment.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, good. Welcome, Nigel.
I'm doing good. Yeah, you had just clicked back because I was just gonna say raise the page because I was only seeing the bottom of the page.
Do you want me to click back another one?
No. Oh, there's another page?
There, yeah.
Holy snaps. You don't think that, my only question is, you don't feel like it should be a little bit more condensed? You don't think you can highlight certain things and then also, you gain by removing certain things, or you feel like you need to keep everything in there?
That's a great question. I think that that's all a judgment call, right? What you think you want to include. I would say, I was pretty liberal with the space here on these research experiences. I probably could have made them go across. Here, this title took up 2 spaces, right? I could have condensed some of this. I could have just called this undergrad research experience and gotten rid of, right, these titles.
Agreed.
Right. So there's things like that. And same, here, I could have also condensed these, and several of them are the same presentation, right? But just at different conferences. So I could have given the title, and then instead of repeating the same title of the project, just listing that this was, poster presentation here, and then an oral presentation at this one, right? So I could have saved some space doing that, certainly. Yeah, it's good observation.
Oh, one more thing. So like, especially when you got a lot of content like you do, don't you think like that what can also help you so that you can condense this? Don't you think that you should really sell your cover letter? What you think about that?
Yeah, if I was applying for jobs, certainly, you would want to pull out the most important things in that cover letter and really highlight those, bigger kind of ticket items that were the most important for, talking about in the cover letter. And you don't just kind of regurgitate everything that's on that CV or resume. You really pull out the most important critical things in that cover letter. Absolutely. I'll also mention, here that in saving this, when I went in and edited this from the version of XX, whatever those years are, I lost some formatting, and so you have to be careful about that in Word. So here, look at this. This is missing an underline, and so is. If I go back, awards received and research experiences are both missing underlines. Another issue I had with this, and again, it was made many years ago and has gone through many different iterations of Word. The lineup here of these is not exactly to the same edge, right? So you kind of see a bend here, and where these kind of right justified lines end up. So I think that that's another issue. And so just those kinds of things can be really, really nitty gritty. And that's why you have to spend a lot of time with your resume or CV, editing and thinking about and looking at and having other eyes look at it. So here you can see there's a huge gap here compared to where these are in the lining. And so that's why I wanted to show this, again, real example from when I was an undergrad, what I put together. It did have the lines at least in it before, but the consistency and the formatting and stuff. And so they're never perfect. They're always a work in progress. And so just something to keep in mind. And so with that, I want to talk about ways that we can be able to make those resumes and CVs more publicly available. And so the QR codes is a way that we can do this. And so QR codes, if you are not familiar, are these funny little boxes that have a bunch of different pixels in them and often squares and stuff. And so maybe we can use the thumbs up. How many of you have, used QR codes? Can we see thumbs up if you've used QR codes before? Can use the reactions to show if you've raised hand. Maybe you aren't able to do the thumbs up. Okay, yeah. Can we do the raised hands? Okay, so oops.
Yep, I see. We have a number of raised hands.
Good. Folks know how to use that. Okay, so so the QR codes, you just simply use whatever, use your phone to take a picture. You put it on the picture setting, and then it clicks that little box and it says, do you want to open up whatever the website or the link is on your website? So for this one, it opens up my personal website. So if you want to check that out, feel free. And so it opens that up, and then ta-da, what you have is instant content access, right? So instant connection to content. And so this can be a really, really cool technique for being able to market yourself when you're at a conference or if you're at a job fair, for them to be able to have that content immediately on their phone available. And so you can use QR codes to link directly to a resume. So you can put up a resume or a CV as a PDF using a QR code. And so you can print that on the back of your business cards. If you want to make business cards, on the front, you'll have all your contact information. On the back, you put that QR code to your resume, right? And so then they instantly have that connection to you. You can also put a link to your website like I just did. You can link to a number of different things using QR codes, and so those can be pretty powerful to use. And so I just want to walk through a couple steps on how to do that. And so I use QR code generator. And so the website is down at the bottom here, qr-code-generator.com. And so when I come to the screen, this is what it looks like. And so here you can see that there's all of these different options for what you can actually link to with your QR code. And so I just did a URL and I'll show an example of that, but you can also have it linked to your email. You can have it linked to your PDF. Again, that's where you would put your resume. You can also have it linked to your own social media or to images, right? So it can be pretty powerful to use this and be able to have that instant connection. And so here, I just pasted in a link to a Google form, which asks you for feedback about tonight's session. And so once you fill that in and you click enter, then this screen pops up and it says, wait while that your QR code's being generated, and then it will download to your computer after you've clicked that download button. And so then you get this customized QR code generated. Again, here, this one will actually link to a form that says, how was the digital resumes workshop tonight? Feel free to input that, but I'm sure that Deb has an official one coming out after the session. So with that, I will pause so that we can get some questions in. I would love to hear from you, what you're thinking, what you still have questions about. And of course, please, please, please connect with me. All of my social medias have the same handle. Again, another tip for your digital profiles. So mine is at Dr. Cami Valdez on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can connect with me over email. I would love to hear from you to continue the conversation even after today. But let's hear any questions you have. Do we have anything in the chat, Brian, or we can use the raise your hand feature?
Yes, we'll actually do both, Dr. Valdez. The first one is we'll do the raise your hand from Killian.
All right, let's hear from Killian.
You said you talked a little bit about publications. Is there any way to put a publication that's about to be published on your LinkedIn or resume, or do you need to wait till it's actually published?
Great question. On your LinkedIn, or what else did you say?
Resume.
On your resume. So on your resume, you could certainly include it. So you can just put you could put the title of it and the authors that, are going to, that will be your co-authors. You could put the year, and then you put in parentheses, manuscript submitted. So, you wouldn't necessarily put the journal, or you could just say that the manuscript was submitted. If it's been accepted, then you could put the journal name, and you could say, manuscript accepted, that it's in print, and so it's not yet ready. So that's certainly something you can put on that on your resume. For LinkedIn, I don't think you would want to put a PDF up of an unpublished material, because you wouldn't want somebody to scoop that after you've put in all that effort and time in kind of creating that new knowledge and information. But you might be able to do like some type of, excited post, right? Like, got my first manuscript submitted, right? Fingers crossed for the reviews, right? You could do something like that to kind of get some buzz around it. Or you could say, I don't know. I think that there's an opportunity for you to promote it a little bit earlier on than having the actual, DOI number ready for the publication.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great question.
All right. We had a few more hands up. Some of the hands went down. Emmanuel, there you go.
Hello.
Hi, Emmanuel.
So my question is it smart to put like personal projects on LinkedIn? So like anything from just coding or like sites or stuff like that. This personal side project you do on your own time.
And what's your field?
Industrial engineering.
Industrial engineering. I think it depends, right? Like on what your end goal is. Like, if these are things that you are comfortable with them being public, and they showcase, your coding skills and things like that. I think that there's a way that you could definitely be able to showcase them. And yeah, I don't know. I think that there's space for that, certainly. But you don't want to, again, you don't want it to be kind of like a digital dump of like everything that you've ever done, right? This isn't going to be your
Yeah.
LinkedIn isn't going to be your like digital CV, right? So you want to refine it so that it's relevant to, again, those opportunities that you want. But if something you're hoping to do in the future might include web development, and you've done a lot of web development and it's just a personal project and has nothing to do with research, that's okay. Right? If you can kind of find the connection or show how that those skills are related to kind of your end goal.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
Dr. Valdez, I would add, just don't be random on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
There's other platforms where you can truly be random, and just, whatever. On LinkedIn, be intentional, be
Yes.
super duper intentional.
Yes.
It's calculated, it's intentional, it's strategic.
Right.
It is where I look at LinkedIn as a job. It's more serious, like it's not casual. I want to be, and I'm not saying you're never going to have fun, so I don't want you to take it that serious, but I want you to take it serious, because the person who's evaluating you, they're taking it serious,
Mhm.
right? So I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, I got to be so, absolutely, because you may have a job that's on the line.
Right.
You may have a admission that's on the line. So they're not on your Facebook where there's a certain understanding of the casual nature of Facebook. When I go to your LinkedIn profile, I am expecting a certain level of professionalism.
Absolutely. No, I think that's important to highlight, and just to think about the fact that like LinkedIn, is very curated. When we think about the fact that the poll at the beginning of this, and you all said, where would I be comfortable with somebody looking if I was having a potential employer or potential grad school looking to see your social media? You all said LinkedIn. So that that's a place where you have to be professional. And so you really need to have kind of the most curated, the most kind of put together, streamlined vision of you there for seeking that job, or for seeking that graduate school opportunity that's aligning with what you want to do. So you're showcasing those things that you want to do, so that it all makes sense, so that when they look at it, they say, of course we want Emmanuel to come and be an industrial engineer at our company, right? Because based on all of the stuff that he has posted here and his experiences, right, that makes sense. So just really want to stay on brand, on theme with that. Yeah. I thought we had another raised hand. Did we have one that went down?
No, there was one that came back from Norbaya.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Yes. So, my question is that I'll just say I operate in mainly 3 different networks. So there's my academic kind of life, there's my entrepreneurial business life, and then there's also my organizing life. And my organizing kind of network is I work with a lot of sociologists and anthropologists. And so I my current LinkedIn is it has everything in it. And so my question is, should I create different profiles to like to make it more focused on like what particular network that I'm operating in, or is it okay to kind of just have everything all together?
I'm going to ask Brian to take that one.
It's funny you say that,
He has
Dr.
so
Valdez,
many
because
different hats.
I was going to tell you, I was going to ask you if I could, if I could speak to this one.
Oh yeah, I knew it was all you.
So, as a person who I live the 2 or 3 hat lifestyle. I do have one LinkedIn, and it's interesting, Nobaya, that you asked this question, because originally I did what you said. Originally, I actually had a Brian Thomas um, speaking and consulting page, and then I had a page for my normal professional career. And, over the years, I actually have combined them, but this is the difference between me 6 years ago and me now. I create LinkedIn based off of what I need. So, this is the interesting thing about LinkedIn. LinkedIn to me is irrelevant for most of my life. but when I need it, it's extremely important. And so for me, what I do is I create my LinkedIn profile. It has a combination of both, but when it's time to make a move or something, I modify for what I need. And then if I once I get what I need, I can modify it back to whatever it is I want. So don't think that once you create your LinkedIn profile, it's over.
Right.
I update my resume for a new job. So why not update LinkedIn for your new job?
Yep.
So you can customize this, and once you land what you're trying to land, you can always revert back. I'm not saying revert back to something, foolish, but you can revert back to something that's not as intentional on that specific job.
Thanks, Brian.
So I don't know if Norbaya, if that helped, did that help at all?
Absolutely. No, I think that was, I mean, the responses are definitely beneficial. That helps me completely. Thank you.
And I can definitely be tough, especially when you feel like they're very disjoint, kind of pieces of your personality and your professional careers when you do have multiple tracks. And so you have to figure out how to, weave those together if you can. And again, when to highlight what. And, remember that this is a digital, document. And so it is not static. It doesn't have to be, this is it. It's a, one-time PDF and done. So you can adjust it to your needs and kind of what is your central focus at that time, as Brian mentioned.
Dr. Valdez, I want to add something.
Yeah.
So not only is it modifying it to your central focus, but I think it's important to modify it to their central focus. So I'm gonna give you an example. So I was applying for a corporate America position, but I knew a little bit about the intentions of the company and their involvement in the community and things. And so I actually put a little bit of my entrepreneurial life in there.
Uh-huh.
They actually thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other side, Dr. Valdez, I did that again, thinking, okay, this works. Well, this company was about the business, and they actually did not like the fact that I had my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's also not just what you're going after, but knowing a little bit about what they're looking for.
Right. That
And I
due
think
diligence.
that's the word is like, or the phrase, what are they looking for?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that was it. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh,
I don't-
Dr. Valdez, there was actually a comment
Sure.
in the Q&A. It says, "Is it a good idea to obtain a non-dated recommendation letter from a professor, professional person, etc., that you consider would be good for you and um, keep to use when necessary, as you may lose sight of that professor or professional person?"
Mm. I would say you need to keep in touch with that person. That is part of having recommenders, is that you have to stay in contact with them, and you want to stay in touch. Of course, if you had somebody who is maybe elderly and you were worried that they might not be around, that might be something, a different type of scenario. But I think in general, people expect to get letters of recommendations directly from that person, right? Not from you supplying it. And so to kind of have the non-dated, pre-signed, thing that's generic to all opportunities, right? You're missing out on the specificity of what it is that you're actually seeking and getting their perspective on how you might do really well in whatever it is that you're actually seeking. And then also just that, companies in graduate schools, right? They see these letters all the time. And so I think if it's too generic, they're going to see through that, right? That it was not written for this opportunity, right? You need your letter writers to be tailoring their letters to the opportunities just as much as you're going to tailor your cover letter or your personal statement, right? And your resume and CV to those opportunities. So I would stray away from that as much as possible. And again, I think if these are people who are going to be recommenders for you, you need to really stay in touch with them and stay connected and keep them updated on what you're doing. That's part of being in a professional network, and that eventually you're going to have folks that are going to be keeping you updated on what they're doing because you'll be the recommenders. I don't know if Brian, if you have anything else to add to that.
What I want to add to that, Dr. Valdez, is what you just said at the end about keeping people updated. It is a weird thing, but it's very important. I didn't understand this until I just kind of did it, and it helped me out, which was mentors and colleagues and friends, etc. They don't really like always check in on you. They have a life. So, they have family and situations, and they have a career. So ever so often it's okay to just let them know what you're doing.
Mhm.
In the process, it could be a reconnecting moment. Hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you for a while. Just wanted to let you know I moved over to Oklahoma, doing well, family's well, got a new job, this and that. And it's like, oh, okay, this may be a moment where it brings you two back together. But even if it doesn't, it lets them know what you're doing. It
Ab-
lets them know where you are in life. And that can go both ways. It can go where you are in life as you're progressing up the ladder, you're moving up in your career, um, or it can be, this person may need my help. They've fallen on hard times. They may have been lost their job, but whatever the case may be. And on that, Dr. Valdez, I just want you guys to be not afraid to engage with people, especially people like let them just talk to them. Like you'll be surprised at how many people on LinkedIn that are your former coworkers or people that you've partnered with in the past that would love to get a message from you.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
be active and intentional about keeping them updated. And you don't have to be braggadocious about it, but it's important. Like I did when I became like my first time being a plant manager. I was like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to tell so many people how and look, Dr. Valdez, this was the kind of the trick. So I wanted to tell them because I was proud, Dr. Valdez. But this is the twist that I did, and I want you guys to apply this for if you get into the grad school, if you get the job. I want you to say, I'm so proud that I was able to accomplish this, but I'm more proud that I was able to accomplish this because of your help.
Mhm.
And that like makes people so happy. So they get to celebrate with you, and they also get a chance to say they were part of making that happen for you, which in their minds makes them think, I may want to help that person again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Absolutely.
Celebrate your moments. Be proud of those moments. You get into that grad school you were trying to get into, let people know.
Yes.
Don't be so afraid to. Don't think on LinkedIn you can't celebrate. Be celebratory, but also be humble.
And also, I mean, on that note, for your recommenders for graduate school or your references for jobs, if you get into graduate school or you get that job, let them know. Don't leave them in the wings without letting them know. I've recently had a few students that I've written letters of recommendations for who didn't actually notify me. There was no follow-up email. Thank you for your letter of recommendation. By the way, I got in, right? That's a really important step and follow through, an important piece of that kind of being a part of a network, right? And having those mentors. And so you have to do your due diligence on that. But also just send regular updates. It doesn't always have to be the biggest updates. And I think Brian did a good job of summarizing that. So you can also just give smaller updates. Here's just an update on where I'm at, or new additions to your family. If you have little ones, or if you have a new partner or spouse, right? All of those kinds of things you can also share with your mentors. They're also interested in you as a person. So you can be sharing other updates. They don't always have to be that you landed the perfect job or those kinds of things. And sometimes it can be that you need help, and that's okay too. That's why you have mentors. Do we have any final questions? I know we
All
have a
right.
couple of slides
Yep.
to talk about the upcoming events, so make sure we have time for that.
All right. That's what I was gonna ask one more time. If you'd like to use the raise your hand feature, if there was any more questions tonight.
While we wait to see, I just want to put up these resources. There's a LinkedIn learning how to set up your account. So there's a whole tutorial series on how to set up your account. And then also there was this great article on how to use social media in your career in the New York Times business section that I used as I put together this presentation. So I want to give those their credit. So I think we don't have any questions. We can maybe move on to our
All right.
commercial.
No more. Yeah. No more questions there. So in a few weeks, we'll be right back together again, right after Thanksgiving. Is chemistry grad school right for me? Look forward to you sharing this with your friends. This will be our last session for the fall series. I do want to say thank you guys very much for your participation. I really enjoy kind of just developing with you, getting to know your names and your voices and all this. This is really awesome. With that being said, next week is Thanksgiving week. I ask of you, I really do ask of you, be safe. Take the proper precautions. I know that we want to love on our families and be with our families and things, but also just make sure you guys are very careful and things, because this is a serious situation that's going on out there. So just make sure we put safety first. With that being said, I also want to say, if I don't get a chance to say it before we talk again on the second, good luck on your final exams. So I know many of you are transitioning to where this will be your last few days on your campus if you are there physically. And for those virtually, same thing. Good luck on your finals here that'll be coming up in the next few weeks. And I just really want you to think about over the next month or so, as Deb is sending out the different emails. If you're not getting her emails, please let her know and let your university know so they can make sure you're on the distribution list, because Deb has internships and uh, full-time employments and webinars and different um, information that can help you guys um, throughout your academic and professional careers. So please make sure you're getting those emails. Make sure that you're sharing information with your friends. And we are working on, we don't have confirmed all the dates and things, but we are working on our spring and potential next summer series. So as we do this, we want to make sure that we're growing this community and that you are letting people know the value that this community has. And then also, guys, we have a great opportunity in front of you. I'm excited about this. This is year number 3, Fermilab Sys paid internship. Um, Internships at Fermilab, part of the program that we have is we actually provide coaching and mentorship and support for you over the summer. Paid internship. Make sure I say that out loud. Paid one more time. I will say this. Last year, we saw a much greater participation in people who applied for the internships than our first year. So we're growing in that respect. We also now do have experience with knowing what our interns go through if it is virtual. So if you're afraid and you're saying, hey, I don't know if this is for me because I've never done a virtual internship, well, we have experience now with our students that went through it last summer. So really want you to take advantage of this. It's a 10-week paid internship. Right now, it's the format is that it will be offered virtually. If in person is not feasible, the qualifications are here. Must be current sophomore or junior with GPA of 3.0 or greater, majoring in computer science, any engineering, material science, mathematics, or physics. Application requirements: online application form, 2 letters of reference, and 1 unofficial transcript. Application due date: January 12th, 2021. And then it looks like we said, be sure to check the box Lewis Stokes Alliances for minority participation when prompted. Deb will probably drop the link. Knowing her, she probably has that link ready for you already inside the chat box. And please take advantage of this. Also, if you have any questions, contact us, as we want to provide support to you during the application process. Deb has that on the far right side of your screen. If you want to jot down her email address, or you can also, she'll probably put it inside of the chat feature as well. So I'm challenging us. I want to see a lot of applications this year. Make it difficult on us to make a selection of who is going to get this opportunity. But this is a really great chance for you, not only to get experience in your field, but also make a little summer cash along the way while getting support from the LSMRCE community. All right. With that, Dr. Valdez, I'll let you, well, sorry, I forgot to say thank you to our collaborators on our speaker series. I really do think that they've done an amazing job of bringing great speakers, a great community, and influence our students to be a part of this, this speaker series that we're continuing here into 2021. So without anything else, I will pass it along to Dr. Valdez to close us out tonight.
All right, thank you. I just want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight on this Wednesday evening. You all are making the right steps to create, to create the profile that you want for getting the job or getting into graduate school. I think that, keep working on it, show folks, get feedback, and start curating that to really be the profile that you want to be able to get into graduate school or get that job that you want. You all are already so impressive. The fact that you're spending your Wednesday evenings with us as part of this series shows just how serious you are. So I know you all probably don't need that much help, but please stay in touch with us and let us know how we can help you. Friend me on, LinkedIn, any of the social medias. And I'm always happy to provide feedback or have, a quick Zoom call and we can go over things. So I just want to stay in contact, and I wish you all the best as you all move into finals in the next few weeks, and a wonderful Thanksgiving. And hopefully you get to share it with loved ones, whether that's on Zoom or in person, and just be safe out there. All right.
Take care, everyone. Good night.